So the plan for today was that Bridget and Brecken were going to leave later in the day and meet us in Cheyenne and then follow us to Jackson Hole so that we could all spread the ashes together. We ended up getting up early as normal and packed up the bikes to get ready to go. It was a little different packing from a house than it was packing from a hotel. It seems like in the hotel everything's in one little concise place. You just don't have a lot of room to put things. In the house, your boots are by the door, and there's some things charging in the kitchen, and a few things on the dining room table, so everything's just kind of spread out. Not to mention the fact that in the house, you're trying to keep quiet so that the hosts don't wake up. Of course, the other big difference we had was that Billy was with us. It was really comforting in a way, knowing that he was with us, tucked securely in my tail bag, to join us on the trip. But it was also very sad. I think it was one of many times during the trip that we really felt the reality of the situation and it hit us. Well, after stopping for gas right off the bat, we headed not very far down the road to a breakfast place that we all ate at from time to time. I managed to pull the camera out and do a quick little interview with Trace.
Okay, so
hey, Kev.
where are we at?
We're
hey,
Kev. Hey, Kev. Here we are. No, that's my line. We are at the Village Inn in Bellevue, Nebraska.
All right.
We are heading to Cheyenne today. Today starts the whole purpose of this trip, really, technically. We actually have Billy with us now, which is a little weird. He's a lot heavier than we remembered, but we're going to be spreading his ashes in Jackson. So that's the plan, that's the purpose, and we're now en route with him, and looks like it's going to be a clear warm day. We're going to Jackson.
So we finished eating breakfast, drank down the rest of the coffee, and attempted to get going. But it didn't take long to realize that Billy was with us, and he did want to make sure that the trip was interesting. Nothing terrible happened. It just seemed like we finally had that morning that things just weren't going perfectly smooth. Kind of felt like you were starting an old carbureted bike on a cold morning when you're used to starting a brand new fuel-injected machine. I'll let me at the time tell you what happened. So here we are at the Sapp Brothers Coffee and Restaurant place. It's been a little bit of a long morning. We got up early, like normal, to get breakfast, and got up, packed everything from the house, and got to breakfast. I realized I forgot my my little Cena communicator, and so we had to run back to the house. Ran back to the house, grabbed that, got on the road, and of course then the drift fell off of my helmet. I guess I just didn't stick it on. It's been that kind of morning. So when I stuck the Cena or the drift back on, we got on the road, and then of course my GPS was set to walk, not drive, so that was great. And then we get to a gas station, or then we have to we stop at a gas station, which that worked out pretty well, except for I almost lost one of the gloves because it fell off the bike. Then we had to stop at a rest area for an earplug emergency. Then we finally kind of got on the road, so we were just kind of getting rolling, and Trace is suffering from headaches, which is understandable with what we've been doing, and I'm suffering from bad hair, also understandable. Other than that, we're halfway to where we need to go, which tonight will be Cheyenne, and we're not really halfway, it just sounds better. We're about 300 miles from being there, so 50 miles from being halfway. Anyway, that's it. So after the pie, we walked outside, and under Tracy's bike was this big oil spot. It was big enough that both of us thought that we would have noticed it had it already been there. Tracy got down and checked the bike and thought that he may have just filled it a little too full when he changed the oil at the beginning of the trip, and some might have just drained out. After satisfying himself that there were no leaks to concern us, we cleaned up and got back on the road. The next time we hit a gas stop, we rested for a little bit, and we noticed a sign above us that reminded us kind of this isolated feeling that you get sometimes on a motorcycle road trip. It literally said, "You are nowhere." Of course, to be fair, there was also a sign right next to it that said "Fat Dogs," but the sentiment was not lost on me. After all that, it was just on to the next gas stop. Hi everybody. We're at gas station stop number 3 for the day, and it's going pretty well. I am feeling it in the old knees and in the hands because I've been using some gauntlet gloves because of the sunburn, and it's just kind of harder to work with. Other than that, it's going okay. I'm gonna swap out the gloves and check on Billy, make sure he's still in there and solid and doing okay, and then other than that, yeah, we'll see you on the road. Well, so then it was back on the road for the final leg of today's journey to Cheyenne, Wyoming. Cheyenne was a place where Billy and Bridget spent a lot of time while he was in the Air Force there. She drove us around after dinner and showed us some old apartments they lived in and the Air Force base and, you know, just some of the local haunts that they like to visit. Tracy had obviously been there a couple of times to visit Billy. So he'd seen it, but it was really exciting to me and kind of neat to see somewhere that Billy had been that I wasn't ever able to go to. So it was neat. It was a good day, and then tomorrow, Jackson Hole.